Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we have got a video I don't know what to make of. I don't know what this is going to be. This is from a channel called Fern, and this is ANØM, the most genius FBI operation. I probably said that so long, but we won't get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button and subscribe button, comment your thing down below. Let's go.
It's a quiet morning in an Australian suburb. The streets are still. The neighborhood sleeps soundly. In a few seconds, the silence will come to an abrupt end. Armed officers will storm through family homes. Flashlights will cut through the darkness, illuminating the startled faces of criminals, violently ripped from their sleep. Scenes like these will happen all across the world. A global storm is coming down on organized crime. As the sun is rising, from Asia to Europe and finally to the Americas, police in 16 countries will strike. They will raid drug labs, secret warehouses, and private residences. Around 9,000 police officers will make over 800 arrests. Nearly 40 tons of drugs, along with countless weapons and millions in cash and crypto, will be seized.
Operation Trojan Shield.
First of a kind global operation.
The biggest investigation and operation
Biggest
that the
criminal sting ever.
Entire organized crime rings will cease to exist from one minute to the next.
That is awesome. An operation involving 16 different police forces around the world that all caught up to 9,000 people in police, 800 arrests. That's insane. That's awesome.
It will be the final act of Operation Trojan Shield, the largest sting operation ever, orchestrated by the FBI and Europol. And at the heart of it all is this phone.
Okay, Operation Trojan Shield. That's the name of it. Okay.
This video is partially based on the book Dark Wire by Joseph Cox. Cox is an investigative journalist. He went deep into the criminal underworld for his research. Due to the nature of some anonymous sources, we are unable to verify all the information independently. We highly recommend checking out the book.
How criminals communicate. Okay.
I have a cargo ship with captain on side too. They want to throw over load as they leave.
When can we start?
I have a job ready as tomorrow to pick up. It's already here.
This is a real conversation between two drug traffickers, sent via an encrypted phone. Encrypted phones are very special devices. They often lack functions like camera and GPS and are designed to enable more privacy. People use these phones when they don't want to be tracked. Politicians, military, corporations, a wide range of people use privacy-focused devices. The market for these phones is massive. For obvious reasons, they are also very appealing to criminals. Encrypted phones are often modified consumer phones with additional privacy tools. Sky ECC, EncroChat, and Phantom Secure, to name a few, were big players in the crime world. Secure phones like these don't come cheap. Phantom Secure, for example, charged up to $2,000 for a 6-month subscription. This is the price you pay for absolute privacy. Some of these phones come with a very handy feature.
So, he picked up the load, and I think he's been arrested and in need. There's a lot of evidence and f***ing shit on my BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I need that evidence gone, ASAP.
1 sec.
But the thing is, cops can't access it, right?
They can't even access that anyways, yeah?
If a phone is ever compromised, a remote wipe command known as kill switch can be activated. This kill switch wipes all the data from the phone, making it completely useless.
How is that a thing that's existed? How does that exist? There's no way. How does that actually exist? Where there was a button or a thing that can be activated on a phone that would cause all evidence to vanish. How the hell is that just activated? How can that be a thing? That can't be a real thing. Can't be.
For law enforcement, this is a nightmare. Even if police manage to seize one of these devices, all potential evidence can be destroyed, remotely. Over the past few years, law enforcement has aggressively cracked down on encrypted phone companies. One by one, companies like Phantom Secure and Sky ECC were shut down, leaving behind a massive vacuum. As in any industry, a vacuum presents an opportunity, and one man seeks to seize it. It is 2018. A rather dodgy businessman has an idea. He goes by the name Afgu. Afgu is an expert when it comes to encrypted phones, selling phantom secure devices to criminals. He's a bit of a geek, though not much of a coder. Previously, Afgu worked alongside one of Australia's most notorious drug traffickers, Hakan Ayak. Known as the Facebook gangster for publicly documenting his criminal lifestyle online, Ayak is deeply connected in the underworld. Observing the gap left by all those encrypted phone companies going down, Afgu hatches a plan. He wants to launch the next big encrypted phone, ANØM. ANØM devices are essentially off-the-shelf Google Pixel phones, modified to run a custom operating system called Arcane OS. This is where it gets interesting. At first glance, it looks like any other phone. It has apps like Tinder, Netflix, and Spotify, but when you tap them, nothing happens. They're just dummies. ANØM phones come with several special features. One of them is pin scrambling. It randomly shuffles the numbers on the keypad, making it difficult for anyone nearby to figure out your passcode. The real magic is unlocked when you enter a different pin. When you unlock the phone this way, you only see these three apps: settings, the clock, and a calculator. The calculator works just like a normal one, but if you enter a special code, the heart of the device reveals itself, the ANØM messenger. It allows you to chat with an ANØM user anonymously. In case things go south, the phone also has a kill switch.
Fascinating. Fascinating that these things can exist. I mean, there's no way that would last long, but freaking genius.
ANØM will soon become a thriving tech startup for organized crime, and Afgu will become its CEO. But his true plan goes far beyond that. This story is about a brilliant sting operation, but it's also about privacy. How many input fields have you filled in your life? Remember the account from that sketchy online store you ordered from a decade ago, or that weird form about that thing you once cared about? Data brokers are companies that collect your private information from the farthest corners of the internet and sell it often to the highest bidder. That way your data can easily end up in the hands of cyber criminals.
Wait for it.
Think identity theft, fraudulent loans, and even maxed out credit cards. Incogni forces data brokers to...
There it is. There it is. I was waiting for the sponsorship. I was waiting for it. I felt it. You see, a guy like this would be sponsored by Incogni. I was waiting for the sponsorship. It felt perfectly set up for it.
I get this call from this lawyer who I've never heard of, and who basically said, I want to meet you tomorrow.
This is Andrew Young. He works for the Department of Justice in San Diego, California. Young and his team are meeting the mysterious attorney. His client, none other than Afgu. Turns out the lawyer reached out to broker a deal. Afgu is offering his product, ANØM, to the FBI. The offer: Afgu will build the next generation of privacy phones, and law enforcement will have total access. A hidden back door. The ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for Afgu, in case he ever needed one. His personal intentions for that are not clear. Presumably, there's already a lot of dirt on them. Afgu's attorney pitches the phone to the authorities like a Silicon Valley tech demo. Andrew Young and his team quickly realize this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What could be more valuable than having control over thousands of devices designed for criminals? Young and the FBI agreed to work with Afgu.
Here's the problem. You just gave him an idea that they probably just made their own. It might be that this might have an operation attached to it, but you gave them an idea that they probably work with, which is to make a phone where they can have access to the information. I guarantee you, they've used that since this operation.
Afgu. But many questions remain unanswered. How should the backdoor be implemented in ANØM? And how do you get criminals to start using the phones? And there is of course another major problem. Without evidence of a crime, spying on phones inside the US is illegal. Young is concerned the operation might not get approved by the Department of Justice. So the FBI reaches out to Australian law enforcement instead, and they seem to be stoked by the idea. With the help from the Australian Federal Police, AFP, the first ANØM phones can hit the black market in Australia. The trap is set.
Interesting that they went to Australia. They're like, okay, we don't know if the thing will be approved. Let's have Australia do it and see how they think of it. Wonder why. Did they just think, oh, Australia will do it? Oh, for sure, Australia will do it.
Months go by as Afku builds his company. The FBI remains hidden in the shadows. He hires coders from around the globe. They all work from home, completely unaware of their real employer. As CEO, Afku collaborates closely with law enforcement. They soon manage to implement a backdoor that allows the Australian police to gather intelligence from ANØM phones. The FBI is still left out. The mechanism is straightforward. When a user sends a message to another user, that message is silently copied and redirected to a third location, controlled by the authorities. The users will not notice a thing. Now, ANØM just needs users. The strategy is to rely on word of mouth, just like any other product in the criminal underworld. Afku starts handing out ANØM phones to Australian criminals for free. They in turn tell others of the device, and so on and so forth. After a series of tests, the moment of truth arrives. An Australian AFP officer stares at his screen in anticipation. He can hardly believe his eyes when the first intercepted message appears. All the hard work has finally paid off. It's 2019. ANØM has several hundred users. Demand is skyrocketing, and deliveries are spreading all over the country. Drug traffickers, Italian mobsters, and bike gangs, all of them are using ANØM to discuss business. Meanwhile, the AFP is meticulously monitoring every—
That's insane. That's such a thing. Because I don't know why, but to me, just a criminal going, hey, I'm going to give you an encrypted phone for free, which just seems sketchy to me, even as a criminal. So, unless I really trusted the guy, which I can't think these people did. Very weird. Interesting that everyone just went along with it.
every message, gaining invaluable insights into criminal operations. But the FBI is still not allowed to read the messages. Young needs approval from higher ranks. After a lot of meetings and persuasion, he finally gets what he wants. His approach is somewhat dubious, though. Running servers with intercepted messages on US soil is prohibited, and Australia is legally not allowed to share their intelligence. The FBI needs another country to host the operation and pass on the information to them. Young reaches out to members of the EU, searching for a willing partner to help. Finally, Lithuania volunteers to host the FBI servers. Let's put a pin into these legal shenanigans for a moment, though. For now, Operation Trojan Shield can finally kick into high gear. This is Swedish drug trafficker Maximilian Rivkin. His nickname is Microsoft. He has scars on his knees and fingers. His right arm shows a tattoo with 3 monkeys. Don't see, don't speak, don't listen. Microsoft runs a meth lab in Sweden and is well connected in the country.
I will admit, I understand why people think, because that day, the sentence Microsoft runs a meth lab in Sweden is fucking incredible. It's a credible line. And you would think they're talking about actual Microsoft, and fucking at that point, the way their business is going, I wouldn't be surprised.
Country's underbelly. He uses EncroChat to communicate with his accomplices. In the summer of 2020, Microsoft receives a weird message. In fact, every EncroChat user receives this message at that very moment. Law enforcement in Europe is cracking down on the encrypted phone company. Microsoft is screwed and urgently needs a new, safer way to conduct his business. So he travels to Istanbul. Here he meets Hakan Ayak, the infamous Facebook gangster. Ayak is working on expanding ANØM's reach and sees enormous potential in the company. The meeting leads to a new business partnership. Both men are convinced that ANØM is the future of encrypted communication for criminals. Together, they set a goal: push ANØM globally and become—
By the way, the guy doing this, who started this, when this gets revealed, he has to be on his guard. Because, my man, you're gonna be wanted by every criminal that's ever existed.
its biggest resellers. Back in Sweden, Microsoft wasted no time. He begins recruiting a network of people to help distribute ANØM phones across the country. With the downfall of EncroChat, ANØM grows at insane speeds. But users are skeptical. After the recent crackdown, everyone is extremely cautious. Trusting this new phone company is a huge risk. To build credibility, Microsoft tells others that ANØM's founder is on the run from the FBI. If even the FBI can't crack the platform, they all should be safe. In a fairly foolish display of trust, he even sends photos of his own Swedish ID card over ANØM to reassure his contacts. Meanwhile, law enforcement is watching the whole drama from a distance. FBI agents are analyzing all the messages, including those from Microsoft. Everything is unfolding just as planned. ANØM spreads autonomously and self-propelled within the criminal underworld. But one day, an officer reads a series of very concerning messages. Apparently, Microsoft is planning to murder a former cafe owner in Stockholm. Convinced that the man owes him $800,000, Microsoft hires a hitman. In a group chat, the hitman suggests to disguise himself as a delivery driver, approach the target's door, and take him out on the spot. Microsoft loves this. At this point, the Swedish police realize the threat is about to become real. The police has no choice but to warn the target. The assassination fails. ANØM is never mentioned as a source. It's 2021. ANØM has spread at a phenomenal
They are lucky that didn't get revealed because of this. Fairness, good on them for stopping the thing, but like, god damn, it could have gone so wrong.
rate. With around 12,000 users and millions of messages sent in 45 different languages, the sheer volume of data has become overwhelming. FBI agents are sifting through countless messages from all over the world, ranging from drug deals and murder-for-hire schemes to money laundering operations, and even the occasional unsolicited pic. When lives are at risk, the police are forced to intervene. ANØM, however, can never be named as a source during fieldwork, or the entire operation would be exposed. The secrecy of the operation is paramount. With every new user, this problem multiplies. Eventually, the flood of intelligence becomes too much to process. At the same time, Lithuania's court order is coming to an end. Without Lithuania, where the ANØM servers are running, the FBI cannot spy on people anymore. After 4 years, Operation Trojan Shield needs to end. But when it does, it sends shockwaves through global organized crime.
Operation Trojan Shield.
Global operation.
Biggest investigation and operation.
Biggest criminal sting ever.
ANØM users all around the world are waking up to a nightmare. Heavily armed law enforcement enters their home, somehow fully and thoroughly aware of all their illegal dealings. Later that day, the FBI comes out publicly and reveals the secret behind ANØM.
For the first time, the FBI developed and operated its own hardened encrypted device company called ANØM.
Law enforcement agencies across the globe celebrate their unprecedented victory.
This investigation, called Operation Trojan Shield, shined a light into the shadowy industry of hardened encrypted devices.
This is a watershed moment in Australian law enforcement.
How interesting. So the FBI, I don't know if they're just doing it because they fucked the guy or to protect the guy. They're claiming that they created it. They created the ANØM app. So what? I don't know if they're doing it because the guy, they don't want to protect the guy or just because they want to take credit for it. But it's very interesting.
History.
Operation Trojan Shield results in hundreds of arrests, the dismantling of major criminal networks, and the seizure of enormous quantities of drugs, weapons, and illicit funds. The evidence seized by the police is staggering. It feels like the ultimate triumph against organized crime. It certainly is the biggest sting operation in FBI history, probably in all of history. But as the dust settles, a harsh reality begins to emerge. This mission, hailed as a success, could potentially turn into a massive failure. To this day, over 27 million ANØM messages have been collected. Based on this intelligence, over 800 arrests have been made. But experts are growing increasingly skeptical about whether ANØM's chats will be admissible in court. That's because the evidence may have been obtained through potentially illegal means. A German court has already set a precedent, ruling that ANØM chats cannot be used as evidence in trials because they could not be physically linked to the suspects. In the case of 3 drug traffickers arrested in Germany, the court only approved physical evidence for trial, dismissing the encrypted messages gathered from ANØM. In Australia, legal uncertainty has already delayed a major trial.
That is interesting. Oh, lots of different things. So because the encrypted ones cannot be linked to them, and because of the fact that they were done via some illegal means to get the messages, the court are not ruling it, like Germany, are not ruling it as as evidence. It cannot be used as evidence.
With the court grappling over whether the data collected through ANØM's backdoor can be used to convict suspects. If courts worldwide continue to reject the ANØM chat evidence, hundreds of cases could be thrown into jeopardy. Criminals who are caught red-handed through these communications could potentially walk free, despite their obvious involvement in serious crimes. Other courts declared ANØM's messages as lawfully obtained. Trials will likely go through higher instances in many cases, dragging on for years. It's unclear how many ANØM users will ultimately be convicted. While official press releases praise the number of murders supposedly prevented, there's a troubling silence regarding those that were not. According to Joseph Cox, at least one assassination of a Swedish man was meticulously planned in ANØM chats and executed while authorities observed in real time. As these cases become mired in legal limbo, an uncomfortable question arises. Was Operation Trojan Shield actually worth it? If key evidence is dismissed and trials are delayed or overturned, the operation's long-term impact may be far smaller than law enforcement had hoped. And there's another dilemma here, one that affects us all. It's about privacy. Today, almost every popular messenger is end-to-end encrypted. Preserving privacy is essential. It's a basic right. Encryption technology is not just for criminals. Journalists, human rights activists, and dissidents from authoritarian regimes rely on encrypted messaging. Privacy concerns all of us. Data abuse can affect anybody. You might instinctively want to respond that you have nothing to hide. Even if that were true, what if you lived in a totalitarian state, rather than a liberal democracy? Would that stance still hold?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think of this insane operation in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all for the next one.